Good morning, lovely beings. Hope you had an amazing start to your journey yesterday. I had such a lovely time. The weather is incredible in the UK, and I went to a beautiful sacred space that I've had many quests there before, both by myself and with groups of people. It's a ley line of the sacred hand of Fatima. And so the goddess is very present and illuminating. And like many places that I've journeyed to before, when we reach the top, and these sacred places often have huge views, you can see your bigger picture of life and how far you have journeyed in this lifetime. So I've had an amazing morning so far with lots of illumination, and this is what I love about sharing these cosmic codes and tuning in and seeing what pops up. So one thing you might want to do in the morning is to create this sacred space for yourself before anything else interferes, before anything else comes in and stops the process in some way of you channeling and connecting. Remember, this is what Red Skywalker is really about. The more that we get clear of the old human being story, the more that we stop being influenced by the outside and connect to the divine from the inside, the more that we heal and remove these stories, transform them, rewire our storyline, the more that we can channel direct from source, we get insights, and we start to live a more magical life on every level. And using the cosmic codes is so key. So I know that we have some new members joining us on the YouTube channel and also on the women's group, Red Dragon 52. So welcome. This is very different language in some ways, and we're also remembering it because things that we're drawn to, my belief is that we were there when these resources were created many, many lifetimes ago. And to be having these conversations, to be having these experiences, this is about the coming together of the tribe, of the people who are bringing in the ancient wisdom again. One of the things about healing is the more we heal our heart, the more that we can access these resources, the more that we start aligning with healthy, conscious behavior, and the more that we are shown, because they go together. It's as simple as that. If you look at these codes and these behaviors and human being experiences as a computer program, for example, so certain behaviors and experiences go together, just putting it very simply. And if we are still behaving in a way that is out of alignment with health and source and truth, then this will block certain arenas of our life from experiencing that consciousness. So I'm going to share with you the booklet again today. And if you're in the group, you can access this. So if you just look down the information, the resource is there for you to use. So I create one of these for every 13-day process. And we've just begun creating Heaven on Earth, Red Skywalker, the most powerful 13-day process, because it has 3 clear signs in it. And I have been doing this for 11 years. So I have been working on lots of different levels with this, both for myself and with in Lakesh, other people who have the same patterns as me. And the more that you really start to work on your patterns on a conscious level, in particular with a dream spell, you can use astrology because they all connect together beautifully. And if you're working on a deeper level with your emotional transformation, with your inner rewiring using emotional freedom technique, then you will progress in a very dynamic way and you will get huge shifts by doing this. This is not an intellectual process. If you want transformation, this is about creating heaven on earth from within, over and over, every day on a daily basis, and being very mindful and being very aware of what's going on in your holograph, because your holograph is the movie that you're living in that's being projected from your heart, from the inside outside. So whenever we get to a day 2, then we are working with the new energy coming in. So I'm just going to scroll down. There's lots of resources in here. And again, on this page, it gives you a navigation tool because there's lots of information. But primarily, just go to where you feel to. This is the whole thing, getting back in touch of what you feel drawn to. Rather than just learning things by rote, because this is the muscle that we want to amp up. We want to be really working with this muscle. Okay, so I call it a book of shadows because my emphasis is on witch dynamic. And the book of shadows in this light is really about our shadow experiences on one level, what triggers us emotionally. That always shows us what our empowerment issues are, really, which is very key to today. Wherever we've been disempowered, so my way of working with all of this is to look at where we have had an experience that's created an emotional trauma for us, because this is where we need to go to get our power back. And remember, your emotions and these experiences are key, absolutely crucial to this transformation process and living the life that we are here to live, rather than repeating our ancestral wounding pattern. So if you click on this link, this will bring up a book of shadows, and I will put a link to this so that you can use it. And so you can use it for every wave spell. So on each day, you can record your experiences, and then you've got it as a book of shadows that you can refer back to. That's the whole point of this dynamic, is working through these processes. And so again, there's lots of info here, lots of resources for you to help you start to record what's going on for you. Even if you just do 5 minutes a day, this is so important. Okay, so this is where this spiral initiated. This is on page 31. And having the power to push yourself through into new learning is key as well. We have to come out of our comfort zone and start learning new things. So today we are on White Lunar Wizard. We're on day 2. And how this cross-references is we had in the Red Castle, the initiating castle, which began on the 19th of May, we had the first 13 days was Red Dragon. So again, we're going through 5 lots of process of 52 days through this spiral of Taurus. What is manifest? So from the 19th of May to the 31st of May, it was what the Great Mother is bringing us to show us all our survival stories, our mother stories, our ancestral stories. And that was in the last decan of Taurus. And then following on from that, the white 13-day process is White Wizard, which is a bit of a misnomer. It's the white moon goddess, Ixchel, Ixchel. And if you want to know more about her, just Google. There's loads of information out there. She's the midwife in this framework. She is the one showing us how to rebirth ourselves. And remember, when we rebirth ourselves, we rebirth the earth. It comes through us, particularly as women. We are the life bringers, the life givers. We are the ones that bring in this energy. We're tied in with the moon cycles. We're very tuned in on a basic wiring system. Of course, some women are more tuned in than others. And the more that we come into alignment with the natural cycles and we get off this manufactured, conditioned mindset and control way of living, the more we can access this amazing knowledge. Again, with the Mayan calendar, there are many cycles. There's the dream spell, which is this 260-day process. And there is the Mayan New Year as well, which begins on the 26th of July every year. And the planetary cycles are Red Moon, White Wizard, Blue Storm, and Yellow Seed. And these follow 13-year cycles. So the current larger cycle that we're in began in Red Moon in 2006. And that was awakening us to authenticity and being the beacon of light, planet Mercury, coming into alliance with our higher self, messenger of the god and goddess Mercury. Changing mindsets, remembering who we really are. So the current cycle is refining that. So if you think back to what was happening for you 2006 to 2018, that was our initiation in this bigger picture cycle of 52 years. And now we're refining it. So we're going into understanding what empowerment issues we were awakened to. And again, generally, these are family patterns. So awakening to those and now refining them since 2019. So we're currently on a year 3 and we're going into a year 4 on July the 26th. And that will be red self-existing moon. So all of the codependent experiences that we had from July 26, 2006 to 2018, we're going to be working with how to be clear of codependency, power struggle. And so recording your empowerment triggers or disempowerment, this is where it begins, and following that cosmic cookie trail, this shows you where your stories are. this is an amazing tool, this 13-day process. I've worked with lots of women who didn't think they knew what their stories were. But actually, once we started looking at their personal codes for these years, it soon became very, very clear because of what they were doing at this time. Whenever we are going into a white 13-day cycle in any of these 52-day processes, we are going into our empowerment issues. So there are 20 different Mayan signs, and they all have their own unique energy. And you have your unique coding. So for those people who have already experienced this in the group, you have got your coding now. And you can work with this from now throughout your life once you have these codes. So for me, whenever I'm doing a red 13-day process, and we're in Red Skywalker, I am repeating my 18 to 30 years. And in terms of astrologically, what's very important during those years, at the age of 18 and a half, and then every 18 and a half years, we have our North Node revisitation. My North Node is in Gemini, and it's in my 5th house. And this directly relates to my parents, who are both Geminis, and mastery of their code. My Red Skywalker family dynamic that I am living is my nan on my mum's side. And again, the more that you discover about whose life you are living, which ancestor, the more you can come into illumination around this and aha moments, and understanding how this dynamic works and what your challenges are to work through and take action on. So today I am 19 years old. Yesterday I was 18 years old. And thinking about what I did during those years, and for me in particular, my challenges are around boundaries and relationships. And I had a very deep heart connection to a Sagittarius at the time of being 18, somebody who I'd known earlier in my life. And this has been a constant theme. So again, this has gone on to be the father of my children. This has gone on to be my daughter in particular, as well as a double Sag, sun and moon. My mum is a double Gemini, sun and moon. And so just pinning all the pieces of the jigsaw together to give conscious awareness. So Ixchel, the moon goddess, her guiding planet, each one of the Mayan signs has a guiding planet, and they're twinned. So there are 2 Mayan signs to a planet, and they form a spiral, a torus, Taurus as well. And they are also climbing the pyramid. It's an amazing, multifaceted tool for journeying and knowing the universal codes that are beaming in. So she brings, along with Red Serpent, they're twinned, the asteroid belt. And the asteroid belt is in between Mars and Jupiter on the basic level. There are other asteroid belts as well. New consciousness in terms of the Mayan myth. This is around Marduk that was destroyed as a planet and fragmented. And so every asteroid in that area is holding amazing learning around what happened to destroy, to fragment. This also ties into the Isis story. And again, you can put Isis, she is what she is, into your chart. You can put Osiris in, you can put Horus in. Wherever Isis is in your chart, she is showing you the story of Osiris. And basically, again, look this up, but in a nutshell, Osiris was having an affair with Set's wife. And Set found out and murdered him, cut him into pieces. And Isis wanted to bring him back to life, so she traveled everywhere to find the pieces and bring them, but she couldn't find his penis, and so she had to create one herself, a gold penis. And they gave birth to Horus. Horus is the new age, the age of Aquarius, the divine child, the blue monkey in the Mayan construct, which is free of these old wounding stories. And a lot of the time we've been going through procedures and experiences, sorry about that, which focus on manipulation, trying to survive, trying to hide our true selves. And then we don't have access to our magic, to our power when we do this. So the more that we heal and become Isis, travel to find those pieces of us that have been lost in our journey so far, where we've disassociated from emotional experiences because we were too young, we couldn't handle it, we couldn't process it, we didn't know what to do with it. So energetically, we can travel to find these parts of us, our inner child that's seeking healing. And using emotional freedom technique is very powerful and it works. I've been using it for 14 years now on myself and with other people. It's amazing. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out emofree.com. So to go back and cross-reference what was happening for you at White Wizard time in this spiral, which is the 1st of June to the 13th of June. And in another aspect, there is a 13 moon calendar, which again begins on the 26th of July every year. So what we do in that first 28 days of initiation, these all work together. By the time we get to crystal moon, we can see what is seeking transformation around these old stories, what's coming to light. And today I've done a chart, which I'll share later on, around where we are at with the degrees in the sun today. And I've also put some asteroids in there as well, so we can see what's happening in the starry skies, what the conscious code is. And again, if you use this, and for those of you who work with me on a personal basis, on a one-to-one basis, using these codes, then you will have your own personal code to work with. So just skimming back through. So again, just to begin at the beginning. There gives your navigation tool, and you have got this ebook to work with if you choose. So in here, you would have your personal coding. So like I said, for me, when I was 18 to 30, and my first North node at 18 and a half, and then taking me through to my first Saturn return, which is when I became a mum with my Aries sun, which is very significant to my repeating relationship with Aries as well. And again, as an energy coach, I'm a blue solar hand, so my focus is on getting to the next level, shaping our destiny, being the avatar that you really are through healing, sharing all these different frameworks so that people can use them themselves. So we began yesterday with Red Skywalker. So whatever you did yesterday was your initiation. So just see that holograph. Remember, what we do in life echoes in eternity. The more conscious we become each year about making different choices, this comes, bring it back to the micro. What we do each day is going to appear in our future. Day 2 today is a new learning. And so we're tuning into that. Whatever happened to you yesterday, how empowered were you? What came up that triggered you where you didn't feel empowered? Well, maybe you met other people, or how they interacted, or how they lived their life. How was that hell for you in some way? So again, another example for me is I grew up very different to the majority of my family. And so I often felt like an alien, an outsider, which again, given the work that I was going to do later in my life, this was an essential part of my process on one level. My inner child has constantly brought up this for me and how that felt. And remember, the emotional mind is the key to becoming free. So each day there'll be some key astrology on there. So remember, we're building up to the full moon on Wednesday, super moon. And that connects to the lockdown, January 2020, lockdown energy. So it didn't actually take place until March, but it's what was building up at that time. And I've put as well some articles on there, videos on there. And so just taking this right through. So again, talk about the moon. We're in red cosmic moon. So we're looking to shift what began 26th of July that isn't authentic, isn't being the beacon of light for us personally. And again, so going to the key astrology today. And so I'm just going to, again, there's links on there, bigger picture article. Some of these are my links, some of these are other people's links. And we've got 3 clear signs in there. So again, just taking you through all there's my YouTube, my new website, which is under construction, the decoder, so you can start working out who everybody is coming into your cycle and what they represent. So you've got all these resources right the way through. So you've got the previous 260-day to look back on, and if you want to, so it's got all the dates where you can look at how we're revisiting this, and you know, it's limitless on how far you want to go. All the dates are on there so you can cross-pollinate. So just bear with me because I'm going to share some more new learning for today. Okay, so I did a chart for today, which is Lunar Wizard, White Lunar Wizard, based in Glastonbury this morning, and lots of things to share on here too. Okay, so the moon is at 13 degrees of Sagittarius. So I'm just going to read that for you. So again, remember, whenever we're in Sagittarius, there's a potentiality to heal, to see our bigger picture, to create a new star being within ourselves. An embalmer at work on a mummy. Death manifests among the living in myriad forms and guises. It is unforgettable in its imprint. Those who are drawn to get close to death and to get involved with it have their own set of challenges accordingly. Will they get wrapped up in the lesser levels of death and turn into habitual, trapped creatures? Or will they extend the range of their affinity and their allegiance to encompass the redemptive and the regenerative aspects of death? Being magnetized to relive previous deaths, to learn the ways of death and to fathom its mysteries, and being able to move among many sides of this equation, but ultimately drawn either to indulge the regressive loop of being in circles of recurrence swept away, or to open up the space tremendously to collaborate with the lively ones among the dead, and to discover that in their world, which is scooped out in that exquisite sensibility through which the lively dead see this world, they celebrate its free becoming more fully than anybody else would be able to approach in that sparkling way. So again, it's remembering that we have a very short time here. Magic 13 today. And so not only that, we've also got, when you use a lunarium, it shows you that today the moon is out of bounds. So this has been great for me today. I will share a link to that. But basically, when it's out of bounds, what does it mean with the planet? Well, it means it's not under the influence of the sun. And if we look at the sun, again, I'll post links for this because there's some amazing information here. And so it's not under the influence of our king, our sovereignty, our personality. And this means we can go higher, we can go beyond the moon story, we can create a different experience. We're not trapped by it in any way. And so when you do things at a time when the moon is out of bounds, the same rules don't apply. And it can be very freeing. It won't stick, as it were. So if you're doing any manifesting, be aware of that as well, because often what we do at a time of an out of bounds is off the chart, literally, in terms of our ability. So there we go with the moon. And if you can see, there's an in conjunct, this green line, a general theme here going on, a storyline around this, which is going up to Mercury in Cancer as well. So again, we can come into sovereignty. I spoke about this yesterday, about our mindsets, about parenting ourselves and taking action around that. Doing what creates heaven for you might be challenging if you have lots of people in your circle who are very strong personalities or don't want to do evolution, healing, moving forward, haven't got a clue what you're talking about in terms of your conscious awareness, etc., etc. And you have to make a choice about your path here at this time around focusing on yourself, which again, if you're a mum or you're looking after an elderly person or somebody who is genuinely codependent in some way, needs your help, can't do it for themselves, or shall we say dependent rather than codependent, but they may be pulling you into a codependent pattern, then that can be very challenging to break through that. And it is possible, of course, it's finding new ways to do these things. So the sun today is at 19 degrees, and some of you are joining the group from Christopher Witecki and his amazing step process, which is mind-blowing. And I'm going to put some links to step 9. So because we're at 19 degrees, first of all, I'm going to read you the 19 degrees of Cancer. And this is aquaorfire.net. These are all sigils. Sorry. They are, I can't think of the word. Sabian symbols, I beg your pardon. Here we go. So let's look at Cancer at 16 degrees. Again, these are channeled works. If you want to go deeper, you can look up Mind Fire, which is Dane Rudyard's amazing system, which is mindfire.ca. And that's a whole deeper level again. These are channeled. So Cancer at 19 degrees, and a possum comes out into the moonlight, inside out, massively vulnerable and strictly unreachable. A verge in destiny where the innermost soul is revealing its true colours in a magical display. However, it's a ritual performance and heavily guarded and veiled all the while. You give a glimpse of the unarmoured underbelly, yet mask so many things in order to make this excruciating edge safe and secure, and something to dream into at many angles, but remain alone within, becoming ready to open to threshold states, vastly afraid of myriad dangers, and therefore placing a small part of yourself into the light of the shared arena, whilst retaining control over the rest. A testing of the waters with such underlying supersensitivity that there will be a lot more hiding than seeking before you discover how to put yourself forward freely, face the shadow of your fears, and live to tell about it. So number 1 in Christopher's system is the heart, is your sovereignty, your personality, is the sun. And number 9 is Mars. It's about taking action. So again, in its pure form of the zodiac, it's the first house. It's our mission impossible should we choose to connect to it. It's the knight, which our warrior, our masculine, which takes action. It's the hero, the heroine on the journey, Jason and the Argonauts. And so it's our ego. And so come back to the Mayan framework, which is all about Venus. This is about transforming our ego. And we do that primarily through healing. We grow up, we mature, that inner brat behavior, and we become disciplined. And again, this is very much what we're building up to with this full moon in Capricorn. So wherever Venus is in your chart is very key to the Mayan calendar as well. And so I have had, again, this great awareness with my Venus. And because when I looked at the out of bounds, again, I'll share a link to this because I know there's quite a few of you who have a lot of astrology knowledge. You can put in your details and you can check out this link for whenever you have got other planets, either when you were born or throughout your life, that are out of bounds. And again, it's fascinating because this year, so again, at the perfect time, which is, it just blows you away. It's just pure magic. You can connect to the pertinent information that you need. And the more you clear your emotional wounding story, the more you'll have time to do this as well. You'll be living a different life because you got through the beginning. You've been initiated, you're working your way through cutting down those briars, reaching the castle and crossing that moat, redefining your boundaries, awakening to all your amazing gifts more and more the more that you heal and take back your power and energy. So this year, my Venus in Virgo, which is at 29 degrees, which is in my 7th house of relationship, this is going to be a time for me to go beyond this. And anything at 29 degrees, this is the major next stepping point. And changing mindsets, changing boundaries, understanding ourselves more around old behaviours that have helped us survive, but they don't help us thrive. This is the key thing. So, and the cards for today. So big podcast today, I know, and it's not going to be like that every day, but we have got yellow seed, which is the 4th Mayan sign. And again, releasing the star seed, it's a planetary energy, it's what it's all about. Once you start mapping people in your childhood who are influential, then you'll start to see more and more about what they are bringing for you. And of course, you can cross-reference this with the planets, with the Mayan framework, and you can cross-reference this with your astrology. You can see where they show up in your sign. So again, going back to the 19 degrees today, where do we need to start taking action now? It's literally our emotions determine, they underpin, our emotional stories underpin what we do, who we think we are, and of course Chiron in Aries at this time as well. We're redefining who that is. We have got Haumei, I call her, the asteroid of rebirth at 27 degrees of Libra. And I live in the Libra part of the zodiac in Glastonbury. So again, this is Arcturus energy. This is the number 9. This is retrograde. This is keep going over old ground around healing the shadow story, co-creation, the 3rd house. Traditionally Gemini, again, this is my mum. My mum lives here with me. And Let's just see what else is coming up here. Tying in with Pluto at 27 degrees in the 6th house, retrograde in Capricorn. So again, gateway points, going over hell stories, going over abductions, going over North Node returns every 18.5 years. What broke your heart? What abducted your emotional mind? How did you start disassociating? What was that repeating in your ancestral pattern? And the other asteroids that I put in were, so we've got Sedna here, and in particular, which is going to factor in big time with this full moon. Pam Gregory talks about this in her video, so check that out. 29 degrees of Taurus. So the Sedna story is pretty horrendous, actually. And again, Google that asteroid, of what she has to go through because of her father's belief system. Is an extraordinary story. So I'm not going to go into it on here because it's too long, but see what parts you can recognize for yourself. And I drew lots of cards today for myself, which I'm not going to go through the whole pack because there's too many. But again, it showed me areas that I need to focus on around the shadow story, basically to do my work on those. And then gateway points of number 9s, which is happiness and strength, to go through those gateways. You know, what creates happiness? This is a key. You know, what do we know that we love? That goes in the Book of Shadows. What sets us on fire? What's inspiring for us? All of that. And then most importantly, what takes us out of that space, and drilling down to be very specific about that. And I've got 2 aces coming up as well, Ace of Discs and Ace of Cups. So again, what grounds me, I need to initiate, and creating a new chalice to be refilled over and over around emotions. The more we heal, the more we can do that. And the major arcana today was Fortune, which is at number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. We create that with our action. So time to do that today. And so new learning coming in today around what has disempowered us. Going back just a short while into the Red Castle, what came up at that time. Have a look at your diary. It's essential doing this work that you have a Book of Shadows yourself, and start recording things, because that's going to be your manual for yourself. So I hope you have an amazing day, and it's really magical for you. Lots of love. Please let me know if you've got any questions, and please do share your experiences on the group.